Hey there, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about a really big idea, nirvana. Now, I know it can sound kind of lofty or mystical, but at its heart, it's really a practical answer to a question we all ask. How do we find some real, lasting peace? So, let's just dive right in.
Just think about that for a second. An actual off switch for that constant low-level hum of anxiety and stress that just seems to follow us around. That's really the promise we're going to explore today. This ancient idea and what it means for us, right here, right now.
So where does this whole journey begin? It starts with a concept called dukkha. And look, this isn't about being pessimistic. It's just about being real. It's that feeling that something's not quite right, that underlying friction or dissatisfaction in life. The point here is that this isn't some kind of personal failure. It's just part of being human. It's the core problem we're all trying to figure out.
And that leads us to a pretty straightforward goal. The whole point of this path is to find a way out. We're not talking about a temporary fix, like taking a vacation or buying something new. We're talking about a permanent, unshakable end to that feeling of dukkha. And this is exactly where nirvana comes into the picture.
So, what is nirvana anyway? Well, at its core, it's the solution. It's the ultimate goal, the complete end of suffering. It's about being released from that exhausting cycle of wanting something, getting it, and then wanting something else. It's about finding a state of deep, stable peace. It is the answer to the problem of dukkha.
But to really get a handle on it, we've got to look at the word itself. The literal meaning of nirvana holds a huge clue. So what does it actually mean?
Well, the word comes from Sanskrit. You've got nir, which means out, and va, which means to blow. So you put them together, and nirvana literally means to blow out or to extinguish, just like blowing out a candle.
And that, of course, brings up the most important question of all. To extinguish what? What is it exactly that we're supposed to be blowing out? What's the flame here?
The central metaphor, the big idea, is that the fire is our own restless, agitated mind. And think about it. We use this kind of language all the time, right? We talk about burning with anger or being consumed by the flames of desire. It points directly to that chaotic, consuming feeling of our own inner suffering.
So, what keeps this mental fire burning? It's fed by three main types of fuel, sometimes called the three poisons. First up, there's greed, that constant wanting, that craving for more. Then there's aversion, the anger, the hatred, the constant pushing away of things we don't like. And finally, there's ignorance, which is just a fundamental confusion about how things really are. These three things together are the fuel that keeps the fire of our discontent raging. And naturally, our first instinct when we see a fire is to fight it, right? We want to throw water on it, stamp it out, just wrestle it into submission. So we think we have to forcefully put out our own greed and anger.
But, and this is where the whole idea gets really interesting, it's not about fighting the fire at all. This is the crucial point.
Here's the big insight. You don't fight the fire. You simply stop feeding it. When you stop adding the fuel, the greed, the aversion, the ignorance, the fire of suffering doesn't need to be put out. It just goes out, all on its own. Nirvana is the peace that's naturally left over when all the fuel is gone.
Okay, that's a powerful metaphor for sure. But what does that actually mean for a person? What does it feel like when that inner fire finally goes out? Let's take a look at how this is understood in practice.
So the teachings usually talk about two stages. The first one is nirvana in this life. This is when the fires of greed, aversion, and ignorance have gone out. You're still here, you're still living, but you experience this profound sense of peace and clarity. The second is final nirvana, and that happens at the time of death. Since there's no more fuel to keep the cycle going, it just ends completely. That's the ultimate release.
All right, let's just do a quick recap of the whole thing. The problem? Dukkha, that basic dissatisfaction with life. The cause? The three fires: greed, aversion, and ignorance that fuel it. The method? Don't fight the fire, just stop feeding it. And the result? The fire goes out by itself, and what's left behind is the peace and freedom of nirvana. Simple as that.
So leave you with this to think about. Forget about the idea of a huge struggle or some epic battle. Just imagine for a moment, what would it actually feel like if the fire of your own worries, your own stress, just went out? That quiet, peaceful state that's left over, that's the heart of nirvana.